Hi everyone, this is Brian and welcome to my power case, Seal the World.
You are going to practice a realistic case interview. If you are watching this on YouTube, I want you to comment on this video with your actual responses. I will then reply back with my assessment of your response as either good or great.
Okay, let's get started. Our client is a manufacturer of plastic food storage bags with $400 million in revenue. Its business is slowing and the company is looking for new avenues of growth. Management believes that the vacuum sealer bag market may be an attractive opportunity. Vacuum sealer bags are used to keep food fresh much longer in either the refrigerator or the freezer. These bags are fed into a vacuum sealer machine which sucks air out of the bag to remove all moisture and oxygen. Users need to have a vacuum sealer machine in order to use these vacuum sealer bags. So the client has two main questions. Is the vacuum sealer bag market attractive for a client to enter? And would you recommend entry? And if so, how? So with that said, pause the video now and write down any clarifying questions you have. Okay, let me respond to a few clarifying questions you may have asked. Regarding if our client has any specific targets for defining what makes a growth opportunity compelling, no, they did not share any criteria. And regarding if they have a timeline when they want to enter, they didn't provide us with a specific timetable. And lastly, you may have asked if our client is interested in producing the vacuum sealer machines themselves. No, they are not interested. There are already many leading brands of vacuum sealer machines in the market, and our client is interested in potentially entering the vacuum sealer bag market, which would be compatible with all the leading machines. So go ahead and take a few moments to lay down how you would approach this problem. Pause the video now, write down your structure, and then say it out loud. Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical case structure. Okay, to answer this question, I'd look into two main areas. I'd look at the market, and then I'd determine options on how to enter. So to understand the market attractiveness, I'd like to know what's the size, how fast is it growing, what's the competition look like, and then entry barriers, like how easy is it to enter. And then I'd like to explore different ways of entering the market, which could include organic options or a joint venture or an inorganic option like an acquisition. And then I do a cost-benefit analysis of each option to determine the best path forward, assuming, of course, that the market is attractive. Now go ahead and let me know where you want to start and why. Okay, pause the video for just a few moments and write down your key questions that you like to explore and then say them out loud. Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical way of leading the analysis. So I'd like to know a little bit about the market. So what's the size of the market and how fast is it growing? I'd like to know who are the competitors and are there different segments we should know about? And lastly, do we know if we could manufacture these vacuum sealer bags ourselves? Here are some answers to your questions. So for the market, you will need to calculate the size and the growth of the market based on some data the client provided us. So we will share an exhibit on that in a little bit. And we don't have segment level information on this market. Now, for the competition, I can tell you it is highly fragmented and there is no dominant player. And we do believe that the competitors are indeed profitable. From a capabilities perspective, although the vacuum sealer bag does require a similar raw material we use today, we could not manufacture them today, and we would require a new plant and machinery. But I can tell you there is a lot of overlap between our distribution channels and the customer base we have today. Here's some data that the client just provided. Take a moment to look through. What are your preliminary observations and takeaways? And what other data would you like to know? So pause the video for just a few moments and talk out loud and write down what you're seeing. Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical way of uncovering the nuggets. Okay, so the size of the number of machines being sold is seeming to increase steadily every year. That's a good sign that the bag market might be growing as well. And also the number of competitors has increased significantly, which means that there might be a good, healthy growing demand for machines, and so the lockstep in demand for the bags that go along with them. So, does the client have any information on the bag market? Here's some additional data the client provided about the bags. Take a moment to look through. Please calculate the size of the total bag market in dollars. Pause the video for just a few moments and talk out loud your approach and calculations. Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical way to do the math. Okay, so we want to know the size of the vacuum sealer bag market, and so I can see in the most recent year that we sold 1464K, and then I'm going to times that by 20 and or 15 rather. So let me just do the math here. So that's 0, 2, 30, 2, 3, 23, carry the 2, 7, 7, 3, 2, 0, 0, 4, 6, 4, 1, and then summing 0, 6, 9, 1, 1, 2. So 21,960 times 1,000. So that's put another 3 zeros. So 21,960,000 packages. Yep. So 21.96 million, and then times 10 will be at 219.6 million, and then I need to multiply that by 50 cents. So it's really just half of 2196 over 2 goes into 1, that goes into 9, put a 2, that should be 198 now. 2 over 19, okay, 2 divided by 2, 1.96, so 2 over 2, so that, let me just do long division this way, 2196 over 2, that goes in there one time, doesn't go into 19, so that's 0, and then it goes in 9, 18, 1 left over. All right, so 109.8 million, around that to about $110 million is the size of the sealer bag market. Okay, now let's take a moment to think about risks. What risks might the client face when entering the market? Pause the video for just a few moments and talk out loud and jot down some of your thoughts. Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical way of generating ideas. Well, competitors might respond to our entry and they might lower the price, and so we might need to anticipate how to respond. And then, one potential risk, another one is the market might stop growing at a certain point, and this might lower the expected future profits. Perhaps vacuum sealers get replaced, or the machines get replaced by a more advanced technology. Let's say the senior VP walks in and wants a quick overview of your findings and recommendation. What would you tell him? Now, I'm going to talk through an example of a good, typical recommendation. I think we should enter the vacuum sealer bag market. The market is large, is growing, and it's highly fragmented, which makes it even more attractive to enter. However, since we can't manufacture the product today, we should look into acquiring a company. And as a next step, we need to see which companies are up for sale and determine if we can buy the company at an attractive price in order to enter this market.
Now that you finished the case, I want to remind you to comment on this video with your actual responses. I will then reply back and score each of your responses as either good or great. Go ahead and pause the video now so you can see how I would grade you. What you just saw was a realistic example among the top tier consulting firms. The responses that you heard are what I would consider to be good, but not great answers. Unfortunately, these merely good responses will not get you an offer from the top tier consulting firms. Given the intense degree of the competition, only great performance will virtually guarantee an offer. If you were to take away just one thing, it is this fact. The bar to pass is much higher than you think. You need to see and practice what great performance looks like. So to see the same case with a top 1 100% performance, just go to passthecase.com/great.